A bit of a controversial one. I don't think I believe in accountability. Now, the prophecy of accountability is that if you if you get a coach or you get someone that is taking you through the process, it helps you stay on course because you'll be thinking, oh, what if that person that I let them down, or I'm part of this process and I may be failing, so therefore you start doing things more because of that external pressure from someone else. But when we look at 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line, you're not going to have that layer of accountability. And whilst in that moment, what actually happens is that the person who you're coaching by virtue of you expending money and you expend that nature of like upskilling, you see and mirror what they're doing with you. So if that coach is really, really hard on you, you'll more than likely be hard on yourself, and that'll be a detriment too. But if your coach is, very hands off, you'll also be hands off on yourself too, for the most part. So as accountability breeds up, and you look at the three layers of accountability, it's like yourself, peer, and a coach. You really have to, if you haven't got any type of, I call it responsibility or ownership for yourself, you will rely on someone else's accountability, someone else to help you through the process because you feel that you need someone else to help you through that process. But what we know from coaching now is that actually going forwards and you being educated by mirroring what the coach does. If the coach like questions you about why you didn't do your steps, you'll more than likely take on that habitual questioning over time too. You'll start questioning your own steps, and then maybe that you look at how they make changes and they do your nutrition, they do your steps, and they do all these elements, and then you start mirroring those too. So I don't think it is a layer of that accountability is the key fundamental for you to do what you need to do. I think that you mirror the coach in how they react to you, and at the same time is over time you achieve these goals that brings you confidence, and then at some point, which not everyone gets to because they still believe that the coach is the pedestal, the coach is the person that is helping them achieve these amazing results, is that there should be a flip to complete responsibility for themselves. There's a layer of education that you'll know that then you'll be able to become conscious with. You'll be able to just do it fundamentally the same. After a year's worth of training with general population clients, you probably don't need to ask them about how to structure their day. You probably don't need to inform them how to do their training sessions. But if you want to continue that education upwards and keep upskilling, there will be things that you'll need a coach for, to educate you, to mentor you through the process. But there should be a process of where you take that overall ownership of the situation once you have enough education, once you see what it's like to be done in real life. If you're still relying on someone else to do the shit that you want to do, I don't think that's a good place to be. Now, if you're looking at elite level, so you're looking at things outside of just like normal nutrition, normal routines, normal training, sure, like upskilling is great. If you want to learn how to do an exercise better, get a coach to help you do that. If you want to learn how to sleep optimally, get a coach to do that. But it's not about the accountability of having a sleep coach. It's actually about the information that they give you that you go and take ownership of. You go and practice it, you come back, they feed it back, and then you go through that loop again. So the accountability for me just seems a bit strange. I've always had coaches in my life. I haven't felt that personal responsibility to not let them down. For some reason, I always knew that the book fell with me, and I knew that if I didn't do what I needed to do, then it wouldn't be a reflection on them, and that wouldn't be them. I wouldn't do something for someone else if I can't do it for myself. And that was my journey of becoming complete ownership. I'd have coaches over the long term that they'd be like, oh yeah, it's a better level of accountability. It's like, well, I didn't come to you for accountability. I came to you for coaching, educating, upskilling, so that I can go and do this myself in the long term with the ownership I already have. Now, for some people that have never ever understood nutrition, training, and steps, you're going to feel a level of ownership, shared ownership between your own journey. That coach will be inputting into that journey, you will be inputting into that journey, and that journey will grow based on the things that you have to do on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. But at some point, there will be this layer of knowledge, a layer of understanding that you have, that you shouldn't then always pass it off to the coach to make you do. The core fundamental of anything that you want to do in your own life is that you take ownership of it, you take control, and you make it happen if it's important to you. You can't rely on a coach for the rest of your life to make that happen. And if you're only going to do things when you have a coach, then it really questions what you're doing and what relationship do you have with yourself if you only do it because a coach is making you do it. So I understand the process of getting a coach, but that's different than having accountability, because having a coach is upskilling, going to learn from people, go and find this new information that this person has that you do not have right now, and then taking that and then being able to employ that into your own day and into your own life, and practicing the to's and fro's of getting better with the new information, practicing it as a skill. But to only do this because this person is telling you or you're paying them negates the ownership and the real reason why people make change. Is that when you take ownership in yourself and you realize that you're way more powerful than, just saying that the coach made you get to in amazing shape, you'll realize that through the coaching process, you've just been able to affect more in your day, and you've been able to take that ownership and to take that accountability. If you want to call it accountability, you took it and you've made it your own. But that's because of the information that you've been given, because of the practice that you've been done, and the motivation and the momentum that you got from making results happen over that time period. Don't look for other people's accountability. Look for mentorship, look for education, look for understanding at a higher level if you want to go there. But at the end of the day, the book will always fall with you of what you want to employ. If you struggle with staying accountable over the long term, put in a self-reflection feedback mechanism, weekly journaling, monthly targets and monthly reviews, and hold yourself to those standards. If you've got all the information ready and you have the information ready, that's when you should be becoming autonomous, and not looking for that coach to be the, I'm doing this because of this person, because he's going to tell me off if I don't do them. That just negates the whole level of ownership. Take it by yourself. Forget about accountability. Use the process of coaching to learn, to educate, to upskill, to practice these new skills. And then you will take that ownership of what you can control. And over time, that will become more as well. So at the beginning, you won't think that you can affect much because we disassociate from our emotions. We disassociate from the things that we have control of because we don't want to take control. But over time, you will take more control and more ownership to the point that you then get this layer of ownership. You'll get this amount of ownership, which will allow you to do these fundamentals the best. And you'll be then autonomous without the need for someone else. If you do want to upskill and you want to go further than that current knowledge base that the coach is giving you, then find a different coach, find a different skill base, find a new practice base, find a new mentor, find a new mentorship, because you'll have this. And once you take ownership of that and you review that and get better with it week on week and learn how to come back off track and come on track, when you kind of lose that skill and you lose that flow of taking full ownership, because it's finite as well. It's not something that you just have ownership now. It goes and flows with how much you got on your plate, how much stress, how much feedback you do. It's finite within itself. So find that ownership. Stop relying on accountability. Like, your coach can do whatever they want to do for a long period of time. They can help you as much as they can, but until you take full ownership, you'll never get the most out of the communication. And then you've got to be autonomous and get more autonomous throughout the process so that you can take more ownership and more responsibility.